Hello, my name is Sam. Some of you might know me as Floral Morals from my Instagram page. Um, so, if you're wondering about what that name means, it comes from two words, floral and morals. Flora, I liked the definition, the plants of a particular region, habitat, or geological period, and morals, a lesson that can be derived from a story or an experience. So you put those two words together, and essentially you get the meaning of, you know, what do plants teach us? Not just how do we use them, not just the botanical or biological aspects of plants, but what have they taught us? What have they provided for us? Um, so that is going to be the primary focus of my page. How have plants shaped history? How have plants shaped cultures? And just exploring plants as a foundation in the broader ecosystem. So, a little bit more about myself. I started to get interested in plants around 2018. I I think was just getting food. I started to grow vegetables for myself and to get really interested in agriculture. Um, I started to get really interested in how different vegetables have become cultivated, what their wild ancestors were, which then, I started to wonder about all the plants around me from there. And I just went down this rabbit hole and got really obsessed to the point that I actually went ahead and uh, went to school for greenhouse and nursery management with a specialization in growing. From there, I got jobs as an order puller at an ornamental plant um, grower, 20 acres of hoop houses, and I'm just going from hoop house to hoop house with the tractor, running in, grabbing whatever plants are on this order sheet, and loading them up onto the pallet behind the tractor. Um, I worked as at a cut flower farm. Cut flowers just being, the flowers for bouquets. So I just harvested and processed flowers all day long. That was a really cool job. Sunny Meadows Flower Farm, if any of you are familiar, in Columbus. Um, I helped to manage an organic vegetable farm, from scratch farm in Johnstown, Ohio. And then finally, I ended up at Leaves for Wildlife Plant Nursery, which is a plant nursery in Sunbury, Ohio. They grow native plants, mostly to Ohio, but broadly Eastern North America. If you're not familiar with what a native plant is, it is when I say native plant, I'm talking about a plant that has been in a region for a long time, not long in terms of human long, but evolutionary for a long time, thousands, tens of thousands of years, to the point that it has, truly evolved alongside the organisms present in that specific ecosystem. These plants have very special relationships with the other organisms, the mammals, the birds, the insects, the fungi in that ecosystem, that a plant, if you introduce it, an exotic plant that is foreign to that ecosystem, it's not going to have those same relationships. It's not going to have the same ecological value. So that's why we grow native plants. So I grew up in Ohio. I grew up knowing huge industrial corn and soy farms with, scattered deciduous forests throughout, in a very developed state with big cities. That's what I knew growing up. But now I live in north central Namibia. It's a subtropical, moist savanna type of environment. You might know Namibia from the Namib Desert or the Kalahari Desert. extremely arid areas. The northern part isn't so arid. Um, Specifically north central, sorry, fly. Specifically north central Namibia is an area called Ovambo Lands, named after the Ovambo people. Um, it's who there's no industrial agriculture here. You know, they grow pearl millet. Omahangu is the Oshiwambo name for that. That's their staple crop. They also grow ground beans, Vigna subterranea. They grow squash. They grow cowpeas on a subsistence level. They grow, and there's a lot of wild plants too that are incorporated into their food systems. Umbidi is probably the most popular. It is a cleome plant. If any of you are familiar with cleome plants, they're common annual ornamental plant, often called spider plant. The umbidi is they eat the leaves as a leafy green vegetable. It tastes like spinach or any other leafy green, collard green or something. And as well as lots of indigenous fruits like baobab, the mopane worms, the caterpillars. Some people think it's weird. I think it's anytime a culture is using a natural resource like that and is involved in the local ecology without exploiting it to the point that it's a sustainable food source. Truly, I think that's pretty cool. So anyways, what are my primary goals with this YouTube channel? That would be to explore and discuss plants, history, culture, the broader ecology, and to create a worldwide community centered on these things, where we can all share native plants, food crops, special cultural. It doesn't have to be plants, but a bonus point if it's a cultural quirk that is related to plants. A worldwide community centered around these things. So yeah, subscribe and like, comment below what country you're from, what state you're from, and just say hello. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So thank you guys.